I'd like to welcome each one here this evening. For the public, we're having a virtual meeting due to the inclement weather that we're having this day. And as was mentioned, councillors, if I don't see you, just talk out if I don't see your hand. Thank you. So I'd like to begin the meeting by acknowledging the land which we gather is the territory of the Nishnawbe, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. Number two, I'll let our CAO talk about this, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the agenda has been amended to include as item 2 an electronic meeting authorizing resolution. So under North Huron's procedure bylaw, this gives council the ability to hold a fully electronic meeting by passing a resolution to do so. So as such, it's our first item of business. So the motion's before council, but I guess for the benefit of the public, when council passes this motion, it allows for a fully virtual participation. Council's able to participate fully and count towards quorum. And then all meetings tonight will be through a recorded vote. So it's clear how each member is voting during the electronic meeting. So motion for council's consideration that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs for the Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 regular council meeting, including the closed session meeting, to be held through electronic means due to inclement weather.
Okay, may I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, Councillor Van Hitterson. Turn it over to CAO, please.
So I will now call the recorded vote. So Deputy Reeve Falconer.
Yes.
Councillor McBurney.
Muted.
Yes.
Councillor Palmer.
Yes.
Councillor Van Hitterson.
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield.
Yes.
Councillor Wright.
Yes.
And Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Confirmation of the agenda that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby approves the agenda for February 18th, 2025 council meeting as amended. May I have a mover? Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Wright. Go ahead, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Councillor McBurney.
Yes.
Councillor Palmer.
Yes.
Councillor Van Hitterson.
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield.
Yes.
Councillor Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer.
Yes.
And Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Okay, this time we'll go to number 5, consent agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent
Just
items.
disclosure of pecuniary interest first.
Oh, yes. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Consent agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent items 4.1.1 to 4.1.2 and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 4.1.3 to 4.3.5 for information purposes. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Councillor Wright. At this time, would you like to pull anything from the agenda? Seeing none, go ahead, CAO.
Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. Can we pull 5.3.1? It's the Autism Ontario. That touches some families. It's touched our family. So can we pull it? Can we pull it and just send a letter of support for the proclamation of its day?
Thank you. That is duly noted. Okay, CAO.
So provided the mover and the seconder are fine with it, so that's Deputy Reeve Falconer and Councillor Wright. Your new motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent items 5.1.1 to 5.1.2. And further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 5.1.3 to 5.3.5, exclusive of 5.3.1 for information purposes.
Thank you. We'll have a recorded vote now.
So just confirming that the mover, Deputy Falconer, and the seconder, Council Wright, are fine with that amendment?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, so that's your motion. So I will now call the recorded vote. So Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
Counselor Van Hittersum,
Yes.
Counselor Whitfield,
Yes.
Counselor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Counselor McBurney,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0. So then your second motion, that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to send a letter of support for agenda item 5.3.1. So you have Counselor Palmer as a mover and you're looking for a seconder.
And that'll be. May I have a seconder, please? Counselor Wright, please. Thank you. And now it's yours, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Counselor Van Hittersum,
Yes.
Counselor Whitfield,
Yes.
Counselor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Counselor McBurney,
Yes.
Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We can move on to staff reports. 7.3.1 RC 2025-02 North Huron Westcast Community Complex. Scope of design work for the court's revitalization. May I have a mover and seconder before we go to any questions for our Director Stice? I have Councillor Van Hitterson, Deputy Reeve. Okay, at this time, I'll go forward. Are there any questions for our Director Stice at this time? Go ahead, Councillor McBurney.
Yes, in regards to the usage of those carts, can we not maintain the squash cart as well for what you have planned?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor McBurney, the design and the space available would not allow for both to coexist because squash courts require 4 walls. We would have to find a way to build a retractable wall, and I don't believe that there's the space or the budget to be able to do that at this time.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor McBurney.
Yes, well, going further, like the usage for the squash carts is actually climbing. And you got badminton and all that moving in there, but then where they're playing badminton now and stuff, there's gonna be less use elsewhere. Just seems they're moving in on the squash, that's all. That's just my feeling.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. I was feeling solid about this till I started reading the letters that came in, the emails that came in, and it's always good to hear what other points of view are. You know, we did hear that Listowel was closing theirs, so that could add a number to come this way. But I guess the point that's bothering me is if we make these changes to badminton and basketball and whatever, pickleball, like it was mentioned in one of the emails, it's free elsewhere. Like 3/4 of the year, it's free elsewhere. And I could see usage for it happening in the winter. And I'm a little concerned that it will fall off as the weather gets warmer. So then are we any further ahead? I would love to see a grace period. Now I realize that we have the Vance Fund, the timing is becoming an issue, but a grace period would be nice then to test these emails if they're true, if it's really going to happen, eh? But it sounds like we need to make a decision now. So anyways, those are my points.
Okay, thank you. I saw Deputy Reeve, you had your hand up, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. I know it always happens this way. Is that you only get feedback when you decide to make a change in something. I just wonder if Kelly, if you could just give us some background on. There was no there was less usage of the squash courts for North Huron to consider changing it or making other improvements to that space. And now we're just getting, I believe there was 20 people that said that they were into playing squash. 20 people is not going to make that space, at all, for the usage of what we have. Can you give us some background as to how much usage it was getting prior to this decision to make us think of changing it?
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Deputy Reeve Faulkner. As you know, or may recall, in the master plan that was produced in 2021, it identified a slowdown in usage at that point in time. And when staff brought the report back to council in August to seek direction from council about applying to the Vance Fund, we had seen really low usage. With the courts, it is self-serve, so you can kind of get in there. We don't know what people go in and play exactly, but we were seeing, people wanting to access this space during the daytime. I remember somebody wanting to come in and play basketball in the daytime because he was working in town. That, unfortunately, to Councillor Palmer's point, it wouldn't be able to happen because of our reciprocal agreement with the school board. That only allows for usage in the evenings during the school year. So there are some limitations on the availability of those other sports throughout the year, but we came to council with solid information that the usage of the courts for the game of squash had really declined. I don't have numbers, unfortunately, and I think that also is part of the challenge we had as council is well aware of our registration system in the last year.
Thank you. Councillor Ben Henderson, you had a point there, please?
Yes, thank you, Reeve Heffer, to Ms. Thijs. This is only for the scope of design work for the courts. Do we really have to point out right now that we want pickleball, basketball, badminton, or squash? Or do we have to look first what is possible because of the leak that is going on there and how much that's going to cost to repair? Or is that a totally different cost to the municipality, whatever change we make?
Through you, Your Worship, a couple of points there. So I'll speak to the leak first. We are seeing, as we all are very well aware, a lot of snow this year. And so the snow loading on the roof, it's a flat roof at the complex. And so we're finding that the snow loading at that space is contributing to some leaks. We have had some companies come in and they have provided that feedback to us. And during this past year, we weren't able to get to some of the maintenance work that we wanted to, and so that's also contributing. We do have a plan coming forward that will be presented to council during budget time that will allow for us to do a better assessment of the roof. But a lot of it we're seeing is because of the snow loading, and it's not just at the complex. To your other point about the scope of funding, our application to the Vance Fund was very specific, and we needed to be extremely specific in what we were applying for. And I had a chance to speak with the fund manager at the Vance Fund, and should council sorry excuse me, should council decide to change the scope of the project, the funding would have to be returned. And there would be impacts to the township on the ability to apply for grants at future time. I would say that when council made this decision and directed staff on August 12th, we came at it with, information that there was very low usage. So with the information that council had at the time, the decision was prudent and allowed, certainly was well thought of within the information that was available and the usage patterns.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks, Reeve. So really just a comment more than a question, but so I was actually out there with the family on the weekend, playing squash. So, you know, I actually enjoy the game myself. But to some of the other points that were raised, this is a long-term trend of declining usage for squash, right? Staff have been looking at it since 2021. And, you know, my feeling is, you know, you just have to react to these long-term trends, right? We don't have lawn bowling courts around town anymore because that sport went out of favor, right? So, you know, I think it's unfortunate that we can't do everything for everyone, but to Director Seiss's point, yes, there is a lot of pickleball in town. You know, me and my family play that. But it is, a lot of the usage is restricted to evenings through the week, right? Because the facilities, the schools just aren't open, you know, a lot of weekends and a lot of weekdays. So, you know, this will provide extra flexibility, you know, for people that want to play those sports at different times.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. How do we want to fund this? Like for the, I know we've discussed fees later, but it'd be nice to know what you're thinking, Kelly. Like, this is going to cost people, unless they have a membership, overall membership, then they're fine. But for anyone else that want to do badminton or whatever, I guess the question is, will they accept pay to play or not?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Palmer. We currently have people on fees and charges. There is a fee to utilize the courts. You could either purchase a daily rate or a monthly rate. And we are finding that people are purchasing that to, you know, even now, to play the sports or to use the space as available. But that is also the direction that council has provided, is to seek, you know, a user pay system. And right now that's kind of where we're going, and it seems to be working well.
Thank you. I just like to add to that. I had a young lad, I was down there with my grandson, and he came and says, oh, he just loves going out, and whenever he can, he'll just go and get a pay to go and play basketball. So people are out there doing that, and that, yeah, that's all I have to say to that. Thank you. Okay, was there anything else, Councillor McBurney?
Yes, you Reeve. In regards to gathering this information since 21, we had a few things going on that time of year. That time in our hair, COVID, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Would that not affect the numbers when you're trying to figure that out or not out? Anyway.
Okay, would you like to comment on that, Director Seiss, please?
Certainly, through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor McBurney. And I would say the master plan was developed, I believe it was pre-pandemic, and so was using some usage patterns leading up to that time. And since then, you know, it's been more anecdotal about who we can try and see that is coming through the doors. And up until about a month ago, usage patterns were really low. And that's what, you know, feedback I got from all levels of staff.
Thank you. Okay, this time I see no more hands up. I'll go to our CAO at this time. We have a mover and seconder.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So currently, your mover is Councillor Van Hittersum, and your seconder is Deputy Reeve Falconer. So if there's no other questions for Director Seiss, I will call the vote. So again, the motion on the floor is that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report prepared by the Director of Recreation and Children's Services dated February 18th, 2025 regarding the scope of the design work for the court's revitalization at the North Huron West Cast Community Complex. And further, that council directs the Director of Recreation and Children's Services to obtain quotes for preparation of the architectural and design layout for revitalization of the court space at the North Huron West Cast Community Complex into a multi-use space designed for the following sports/recreation activities: pickleball, basketball, and badminton. So I'll now call the recorded vote. So Counselor Whitfield,
Yes.
Counselor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Counselor McBurney,
No,
Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
Counselor Van Hitterson,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 6-1 with the no being Counselor McBurney.
Thank you. We'll move on to 7.3.2 CC 2025-03 Blythe Daycare Expansion Next Step. May I have a mover? Counselor Deputy Reeve Faulkner, Counselor McBurney, and at this time, we'll go to, are there any questions with this for Director Stice at this time? Go ahead, Counselor Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. So just a question on the proposed layout or footprint. Does that just cover the building, or like, is there going to be, I think there's going to be an attached playground area to the building as well. So I just wondered, is this just the building or a building and playground with the footprint it's going to take up?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Wright. The drawing was not drawn to scale. Oh. I will continue even though my camera is not working. The drawing was not drawn to scale, and so the estimate that there would be 33 lost camping spots was an estimate that once we better understand the exact footprint, we will be able to come back to council with more specific information. But you are correct, this would be a building and an outdoor playground.
Thank you. Counselor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Now, should we be thinking down the road as a possible use for library as well, or where are we in that department? I know it's not part of this motion, but when you're dealing with a building, you only want to build it once.
Director Stice, would you like to add to that, please?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Palmer. There are a few things that I've asked the that we could include in the tender. And when I initially met with this business on site, I had talked about scaling up. We are, have an application into the county for 26 spaces, but depending on the growth of the town of Blythe, we may, council may want to consider in a future design phase the growth either of the daycare or other options. And so certainly we can look to include that as a potential scope, not full out design, but that in the design it allows for expansion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McBurney, please.
yes, thank you, Reeve, to Kelly. In regards to the location stuff, what's it gonna look like when the Thrashers is on? Kind of curious, because those Thrashers grounds, it's just full.
So my understanding, through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor McBurney, my understanding is the usage of the campground, it hasn't achieved capacity during the Threshers Week for some time. So the loss of 33 spaces potentially would be minimal in comparison to the usage. But should council provide direction for me to proceed with the request for proposals, my next stop is to meet with the Threshers and talk about what does this look like. A daycare in the community, as we know, offers a lot. And so how can we work together and in tandem to make this a win-win?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Whitfield, then Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. How we're going to man this place, because I can't get enough people here in Wingham as it is. These people are hard to get a hold of. Do you have any plans on being able to recruit these people and everything to run this place?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, to Councillor Whitfield, employment, we will need to hire 3 to 4 ECE workers, so our registered ECE workers, as well as a cook and a supervisor for this location. And so it certainly is something top of mind, but what we're hearing is that working for the Township of North Huron, we are a preferred employer. And certainly I will be looking to our interim manager, Tiffany, to assist with the recruitment. But we won't wait till the end. We're going to start right away once we have, once we're further along a little bit more.
Thank you. Councillor
Yeah,
Wright,
thank you.
please.
Yeah, just a thought. It's kind of on top of what Councillor McBurney said, but Director Stice, when you're talking to the threshers, I think care has to be, or consideration has to be given to how this daycare is going to function during the week of the threshers, because that's a very busy area, right? So just consideration of safe drop-off zones for the kids and things like that. You know, congestion carries risk, right? So just something to talk about as far as you know, the layout when we get into design, you know, the layout of where the entrances are, you know, visibility, all those kinds of things. You know, 51 weeks of the year, I think this will be a great, and you know, it's a little used spot, but that for that 1 week, I have to have some plans for how the daycare is going to operate during that week.
Through you, Your Worship, point well taken, and I will put that on my agenda for discussion.
Thank you.
Thank. Okay. See no more hands at this time. I'll turn it over to you, CAO, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So your mover is Deputy Falconer and your seconder is Councillor McBurney. So if there's no other questions, I'll call the recorded vote. So Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Deputy Falconer?
Yes.
Councillor McBurney?
Yes.
Councillor Palmer?
Yes.
Councillor Van Henderson?
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield?
Yes.
And Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We'll go on to 7.4.1, Public Works, 2025-08 Recycling Transition, Direction regarding the non-eligible sources. Before we go to asking Director Wilson, we'll just, I'll get a mover, please. Mover, please. Councillor McBurney, Councillor Wright. Okay, are there any questions for Director Wilson at this time? Maybe I'll just let Director Wilson just talk a little bit about this. Just go ahead.
Thanks, and through you, Reeve Heffer. Through the producer responsibility, the transition time has come now for North Huron for the non-eligibles, which is the industrial, commercial, and institutional. And as of April 1st, they will no longer be collected without having a fee attached to it. They can, waste management is subbed in from Blue Water Recycling, and they can co-collect, but they have to be paid for the non-eligibles between April and the end of December.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to Councillor Van Henderson, then Councillor Wright, please.
Thank you, Reeve. To Director Wilson, please. I see on the non-eligible list at the bottom, it says commercial farms. Who is deciding what a commercial farm is? And most farms have houses on there, so they are driving around to collect the recyclables from the houses. But to my knowledge, commercial farms never could put any garbage on the side of the road.
For you, Reeve Heffer, everything has been decided through Circular Materials, and Circular Materials is now looking after all the recycling within Ontario, and they are deciding who is the non-eligibles and who is eligible. So if the farm were collected as the household, then that will be continued. But as far as if it's classified in there, then that all came through Circular Materials Ontario.
And how can residents find that out if you live in rural Ontario?
They would have to contact Circular Materials Ontario, or they can contact their municipality, and their municipality can certainly contact whoever's going to be picking it up. For Huron and Perth, it's all through Blue Water Recycling. And then if they're in Bruce County, it's through Waste Management. That's who it was awarded to from Circular Materials.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wright, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Reeve. So, I understand the need, right? Obviously, there's eligible and ineligible sources, and they do need to be kept separate. But, just practically speaking, like, how do we know who's who and what's what? If a blue bin gets set on Main Street, Wingham, right? How do we know if that's from a residential use or from a restaurant? Is there an element of enforcement to this, right? Or, how does the recycling company know, or are they going to try to discriminate between, the boxes left and out in front of a restaurant versus, they think it's an apartment? Just curious on that.
Through you, Reeve Heffer, that it is going to be what I would regard as, I guess, the honor system moving forward. And I asked that same question regarding if there was an apartment above and they were putting recycling out, then it really is the honor system. But what the Public Works Administrative Assistant is doing right now through MPAC is getting the number of businesses in North Huron, so we can provide that to Waste Management so they can give us a number on what it would be to collect these ICIs moving forward. And I believe what they're going to do in the future, if you're going to collect ICIs, is there would be even a different colored bin for businesses compared to the blue box or whatever bin is going to be available for residential.
Okay, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. To Chip, will this be considered a cost recovery formula, or will there be a cost recovery formula?
No, there won't be a cost recovery. It'll be if you want to provide the service to the ICIs, it would be at the cost of the municipality.
Okay, Deputy Reid, please.
Thank you, Sir Reeve. Yeah, my question would be along the same lines as Councilor Palmer there. What's the financial impact or switching over to this method where we were paying the Waste Management System to pick up the garbage and recycles on behalf of North Huron. Now, when it's being shifted over to the manufacturer is supposed to pay for that recycling portion, are we going to see a reduction in our costs now that that is being passed on to the manufacturer?
Through you to Reeve, this would now, for instance, the bins that are currently out at the landfill, North Huron used to get an invoice from Waste Management. That invoice now will be going directly to Circular Materials.
So the garbage proportion or portion of that is still paid for by the municipality through bag tags, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, so just curious, right? So the recycling bins that are at the waste facility there. So are we going to have 2 bins of everything for eligible and non-eligible users, or are we going to prevent the ICI people from putting recycling at the dump? Like, how's that going to work?
Well, through you, Reeve Heffer, that's another situation where the bins that are currently at our landfill are not going to be eligible for any ICIs. So same thing, the plan isn't to police it. The plan is that people will understand that you just don't bring them out. So be it. I guess if some do bring it out, then it's same thing. It's on the honor system unless the municipality or whoever has these depot agreements want to police it.
And then a follow-up to that, how many industrial properties do we have in North Huron, or be classified as industrial? And to be honest, my thought is, do we want to provide a service to, say, a restaurant owner, somebody running a small store? Yes, probably, because it would be very onerous for them to come up with their own recycling program. But to be honest, if Westcast was still operating, and I guess they still are in some reduced capacity, it would make sense for them to have their own recycling service, etc. So I just wonder if, and I don't know if you know the number off the top of your head, but I mean, I guess from an opinion, would that make sense to you, what you know of the program, Chip, that we, would it make sense to potentially exclude industrial properties?
Through you, Reeve, I don't have those numbers, as I said a little while ago, that the administrative assistant is dealing with MPAC right now to acquire all the industrial, commercial, and institutional businesses that are within North Huron, and some businesses that may be a larger business, as you referred to, Westcast, they may have their own recycling bin because of the amount of recycling they do have. And I know that that's something that I see here in Goderich, where some of the businesses had what they call convenience bins, or large blue bins, dropped off right at their business that was directly for their own use and would be billed directly from Blue Water Recycling.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Director Wilson at this time? Seeing none, I'll go to you, our CAO, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the mover of that motion is Councillor McBurney, and the seconder is Councillor Wright. So if there's no further questions for Director Wilson, I'll call the recorded vote. So Deputy Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Van Hitterson,
Yes,
Councillor Whitfield,
Yes,
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to 7.6.1, CS 2025-02 North Huron Museum Deaccession Project, report number 20, and project status update. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Whitfield. At this time, are there any questions for our coordinator, Denise, at this time? I know we're getting on in it and whatnot. My question maybe of how is it faring out now, now that we're into coming up to the month of March?
We are working very hard to get things like I want to make it clear about the deaccessioning process. Like when we're saying deaccessioning, that is just recording of the items. Now we're coming into the portion of trying to make sure that those items find a home. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So the team, again, I've always praised them. They have been phenomenal. So I can't say much more.
Okay.
We're just trying to go as fast as we can go.
Yep.
But not go too fast that we're making mistakes, because we do want to respect these items.
Absolutely. So I take that. Do I see any other hands? Okay, Councillor Van Hitterson.
thank you, Reeve Heffer. To Denise. There are items for public auction set aside. Do you have any idea how the public auction will look? Is that an online auction? Yeah.
It
and do you
is.
have pictures already from everything then?
Well, so if the item has been transferred to the Huron County Museum, there has been a photo go with it. So none of the items that are going to auction have been photographed yet, but there will be a picture and a description for each item. Those items then will be loaded onto GovDeals, and we'll be dealing with our public auction through our GovDeals program.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for our coordinator at this time? Seeing none, go ahead, CAO, please.
Thank you, your worship. So your mover is Councillor Van Hittersum and your seconder is Councillor Whitfield. So if there's no other questions for our coordinator, then I will call the recorded vote. So Councillor McBurney,
Yes,
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Van Hittersum,
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. As we move on now to 7.6.2, FA-2025-01, Library Facilities and Services Agreement with Huron County Library Board. Are there any questions? At this time, I'll get a mover and a seconder before we open up to questions. Councillor Palmer, Councillor Whitfield. Okay, are there any questions for either Councillor CAO Lamb or Director Stice at this time? Go ahead, Councillor McBurney.
yes, through you, Reeve. In regards to the Blythe Library, where do we stand there?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, Councillor McBurney, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
So this agreement's for all the libraries we have, the Blythe Library. I said, what's the outcome of where it's gonna end up or not end up?
So through you, Reeve Heffer, that was not part of, this was a facilities and services agreement to account for the annual usage and offerings of the library at the Alice Munro branch as well as the Blythe branch, and included, as you could see in the attachment, a number of other branches throughout the county. It did not talk at all about perhaps an expansion for Blythe, but it did reference that if that was to happen and when, that we would be bringing a report. So that wasn't part of the discussion.
Oh, but, okay, thank you, but reference to usage, if we don't have one, that's what.
Yeah, so I guess just to clarify, so this agreement is based on the different types of libraries and the dollar figure and what's required for cleaning, et cetera, for each of those libraries. So as long as North Huron continues to provide a comprehensive library at the Wingham or Alice Munro Library and a neighborhood library in Blythe, that will be the expectations. However, there is notice provisions there. So if, say, for example, if council wanted to discontinue library services in Blythe or wanted to change the level of service to move from a neighborhood library to a comprehensive one, this agreement would account for that. We would amend that, but basically the structure is the same depending on the level of service being offered in those different areas throughout Huron County municipalities.
Great, thank you. I think that explained it very well there. And if there's no other questions, I'll turn it over to our CAO, please.
Thank you, your worship. So the mover of this motion is Councillor Palmer and the seconder is Councillor Whitfield. So if there's no other questions, I'll call the recorded vote. So Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Van Hittersum,
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes,
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We're moving on to Reeve's activity report. Not a lot going on right at this time here. We just completed our second round, or coming up to our second round for the CAO, and we're having a special meeting on Friday about that. So I'll pass it on to any council members, board and committee reports at all. Go ahead, Councillor Van Hittersum, please.
Thank you, Reeve Heffer. I don't really have a report. I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority has their annual general meeting. Everybody's welcome. It starts at 2 at the Roxeter Hall.
Okay, just curious with that, there's still road closed signs down at the bottom end of town here. I think just do a phone call before you go. That's all I'm saying.
Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, the chair and the treasurer from the Maitland Valley will make the decision if everything goes on or not. But
Appreciate that update.
fingers
Thank
crossed.
you. Yes, yes. Okay, at this time, any verbal or written updates from members? Seeing none. Comments by the members? Seeing none. Okay, notice of motion? Seeing none. Bylaws. Bylaw number 14-2025, alternative voting method, authorization of telephone and internet voting 2026 election. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Councillor Van Hitterson. I turn it over to you, CAO, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Councillor Van Hitterson,
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Number 11, next meetings. Next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, March 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in North Huron Council Chambers. The next Wingham BIA, their annual meeting is going to be held on Thursday, February 20th at 6:30 at the Knights Lounge at the North Huron West Cass Community Complex. And the next Blythe BIA meeting, their annual general meeting will be held on Thursday, February 27th, 2025 at 8 a.m. in the first floor meeting room at the Blythe and District Community Center. Are there any other announcements? Seeing none. Closed session and reporting out that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby proceeds at 6:46 to an in-camera meeting session closed to the public under section 239(2)(k) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, cross-border servicing agreement negotiations, and further that the interim CAO and Director of Legislative Service / Clerk, the interim Director of Public Works, the Public Works Administrator Assistants remain in attendance along with Records Management / Legislative Service Assistant remaining. May I have a mover? Councillor Wright, Councillor Palmer. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your
CAO, please.
Worship. So Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Van Hitterson,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0. So we'll take a short 5-minute break or so here while Tyler switches us over to the closed session meeting.
Okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to our CAO to report out.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in closed session, council discussed one matter. So that was under section 239(2)(k) of the Municipal Act, specifically related to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations related to the cross-border servicing. So a motion for council's consideration that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to proceed as directed in closed session.
Okay. Mover? Do I need to move?
Yep.
I'm waiting for a hand. Oh, Councillor Palmer and Councillor Whitfield, sorry.
So I'll now call the recorded vote. So Councillor Van Hitterson,
Yes.
Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.
Okay. That the Council of the Township of North Huron agree. No, we'll go to the conformatory bylaw number 15-2025. May I have a mover? Councillor Deputy Reeve, Councillor Wright. Your turn, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Councillor Whitfield,
Yes.
Councillor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councillor McBurney,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Van Hitterson,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
That motion carries 7-0.
That the council of the Township of North Huron agrees that there being no further business before council, the February 18th, 2025 regular council meeting be hereby adjourned at 8:02. May I have a mover? Councillor Wright, Councillor Whitfield, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Councilor Wright,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Falconer,
Yes.
Councilor McBurney,
Yes,
Councilor Palmer,
Yes.
Councilor Van Hittersum,
Yes,
Councilor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Reeve Heffer.
Yes.
So that motion carries 7-0.